If you've ever played healer in any game, you probably heard the phrase, you can't heal stupid. What do you do when your DPS goes out of position or your tank goes out of position and you as the healer either A, let them KO and you lose the fight, or B, try to heal them, but then you end up getting KO'd because you went out of position yourself? What do you do in these situations? Well, don't worry, as I said before, we are gonna get down to the bottom of that question and I'm gonna answer it for you here today. If you want a personal replay review of your match, you want your questions answered, make sure you respond to that highlighted pinned comment down below and get your review. So in this match, we're gonna be playing Cloak and Dagger. And one of the interesting things about healers is you have a decision to make. You have three. And so the decision goes like this. This is why healers usually struggle, because they don't know how to identify which one they should be doing. So this is pretty much how it goes, and there are three. So we're gonna pay attention to this entire time. I'm gonna write it here real quick so you guys can look at it as well. The first thing is, should I be healing? Okay, that's one. Should I be doing damage? That's two. Can my hero balance both? That's three. Okay, when we're thinking about specific strategists, some healers can do both, some can only do one, and you may have to flip-flop. When it comes to Cloak and Dagger, she can go from dagger to cloak, which obviously is heal and damage, but if she has the bubble, she can throw the bubble down on whoever she's trying to heal while also doing damage with cloak, so you can see how she's able to balance it. In this specific situation with this fight, you know, is it best for us to be doing damage or is it best for us to be healing? We should be healing because we need to figure out where we're even going to be standing, right? In order to play strategists effectively, you need to understand where is the fight going to take place. And this is something that actually all roles need to understand. But when you're playing strategists, you need to figure out where's the fight going to take place. If the fight is going to take place over here, then you need to figure out where is the best position for you. What strategists generally tend to do is they wait until the fight breaks out to then figure out where they're going to stand. And I actually coached a player that video is going to be coming out soon, so make sure you subscribe, that way you're notified. But I coached a player and he was doing the exact same thing. So when you are a strategist, you need to figure out where is the spot that the fight's going to take place. And then you can figure out where you're going to be standing. This Mantis, if she assumes the fight's going to take place over there, she's in an okay position, because she can hide behind this and still do her job. But imagine if Mantis is incorrect, right? And they push the Hulk and the Hulk jumps back and he ends up here. Well, guess what? Mantis is out of position. That's most likely going to happen because he's by himself, right? And so this is why it's important to identify where the fight is going to take place, because then as a strategist, you don't really need to get out of position that often to heal, because you are basically in the wrong spot, not your team, if that makes sense. The goal of climbing the ladder, no matter what role you are, is to make the game easier for your team. It's easier for one player to position around 5 than it is for 5 players to position around 1. Let's go ahead and continue, and let's just see if Mantis would be in the correct spot. You see what I mean? Now Mantis is in a bad position, right? Because the fight wasn't going to take place there. Usually at the start of a match, you have a neutral round, and a neutral round is going to be the neutral zone, right? If we have two teams that are going to be running to the same area, the fight should be in the middle because it's neutral. Not many heroes are faster than others, and if they are, you still have to wait for your team to get to that section. So we know that the fight's probably going to take place in the middle. So Mantis at the moment is out of position. However, our Cloak and Dagger, if we think about it in the team fight perspective, not from the left side here, but in a team fight perspective, we're actually in a pretty decent spot to help our team. Now, one thing that I noticed is we're a little bit too focused on healing. The thing about Cloak and Dagger is that most of her healing is better through her cooldowns rather than just through throwing orbs out like Rocket, basically. So you want to try to see where can you get into a spot where that if you turn into Cloak, you can probably get a pick or at least do meaningful damage to the enemy. Taking a look at this right now, if we go back just a little bit, you know that you're safe. So if anybody were to cross this threshold, I probably wouldn't focus the Hulk, but you can. You can blind him. But if anybody were to cross this little threshold here, you can definitely go Cloak and then toss your blind and start doing damage. You're in cover still. Let's play this out and see how this goes. You see how much we're focused on healing? In which, if you think about it, like, does he really need to get healed by you? Not really. Is he aggressing at all? Is he really trying to force a play? No, he's retreating. If someone's retreating, that means they're most likely going to be minimizing their damage, right? If anybody runs away from a situation, it's because they're getting low and they're probably not going to take more damage in the next few seconds. Let's watch what Magneto does. You see, he didn't even get shot. He didn't get shot in any of that at all. So if we went cloak here, understanding that our tank is backing off, and we went cloak right here, right there, we could have walked up with them and tossed the blind. Now, of course, the barrier is here, so you can use cloak as a good way to break the barrier and then toss your blind. But you see how you could be providing more for your team, but we're just focusing on healing here. As a strategist, if any of you guys play any character, you are not going to climb just by healing. The only way that Rocket does it is because he can bring people back to life. But if Rocket doesn't have Beacon, he's not going to win either, unless your team is good. If your team is good and you can get away with just healing all the time, you can. But for the most part, if you like take just 50 games, you're probably not going to win majority of them just by doing that. You're going to need to put more emphasis in your play, and you're going to be needing to make more picks, or at least making it easier for your team to get their picks. So as I said before, the blind is a great way to get the picks for your team. Every healer or every strategist has a specific way they can help their team get picks. Focusing on healing is probably not going to do you justice, especially if players aren't good. Kind of out in the open, remember, think about where the fight's going to take place. We notice that the fight's taking place right there, right? So if we zoom out a little bit, where can we stand that's a little bit more advantageous to us and, you know, not really in danger? So the fight's taking place here. If we stand right here, it's kind of helpful, but is this going to help us win the fight? Well, what if we stand over here? Or what if we stand over here, like go around and stand right here? We could definitely blind this guy and take him out. Just understand where the fight is taking place and understand who's on the map. You can get a lot of things done by simply moving around and just playing towards where the fight is. I'm gonna see how long it takes for you to start doing damage to a target, because I don't think you swapped the cloak once. There it goes. Okay, you see how you only swapped the cloak because your team is overwhelmingly winning the fight and you're just looking to pick? This is kind of like the bare minimum when it comes to Cloak and Dagger. The reason why I always put Cloak and Dagger so high on my tier list is because she can just straight up carry a game. I personally don't like playing Cloak and Dagger as much. I only do it when I have to, but she's just not my type of character. They're not really my go-to, but they have the potential to just straight up carry a match. Their whole entire kit is just ridiculous. We could be doing stuff like this before the fight even starts, because remember, there's a couple of phases when it comes. So you have like the neutral phase, right, where everybody gets in a spot. Then you have the pre-fight phase where it's like, okay, we're kind of in the spot that we want to be for the fight. Now we're just poking, we're throwing stuff out, just seeing if we can get a pick. And then you have the full fight phase. A lot of the times the strategists focus on the full fight phase and they're not really focusing on the pre-fight phase. If you can get a pick, or if you can make someone out of position, or you can do something to make your team win that fight instead of just focusing on healing through the pre-fight phase, you actually can end up winning a lot more matches and a lot more fights just by simply being more impactful before the fight even starts. So we're going to be looking at a few more examples and we're going to see what happens. Okay, so after you end up getting this pick, your tank then kind of gets out of position. And I think this is what you were referring to, where it's like, well, my tank's out of position and how do I heal him? Like, what do I do? I mean, you could technically just stay back and heal them like this, right? Where you're not really too far away. But if they're behind cover, pop in, or if they're way up there, like how do I heal when they're just doing stupid stuff like this? Well, you have to keep in mind that there's not a traditional way to play tank, strategist, or DPS. Every hero plays differently. And the type of category that Hulk is under is going to be a dive tank. Dive tanks generally play in a really weird way. So we're going to break it down and we're going to go through what type of tanks there are, generally speaking, and how do you play with them, right? So when it comes to a dive tank, which is pretty much what Hulk is, a dive tank is going to go in and come out. That's usually how they play. When it comes to, we're going to say slow pace tank, all right? They generally are going to just move slow, move forward slow to gain space. These are going to be characters like Magneto, Strange, Groot, Penny. These are characters that generally will sit in front of you. These are the type of characters that you would prefer to play with because they don't go out of your line of sight that often, and they're kind of just matching your movement, right? And then you have the kind of like brawl heavy tanks. We'll just call these Snowball. With the Snowball tanks, you're more about constantly pushing your advantage. These are characters like Cap. These are characters like Thor. Generally speaking, we keep pressure. Okay? So in theory, the type of tanks that we have are shield tanks, dive tanks, the camp type of tanks, which are more like a strategic tank like Groot and Penny. And then you just have like the brawl tanks like Thor and stuff like that. But and how they play, that's what you need to focus on. If you're not going to play the tank, you don't need to know what types they are, but just how they play so you can better support them. So this is generally what you want to think about. The reason why I bring it up with the Hulk is because, as you see, he just jumped out. Which means who's really out of position? It's you. This is how dive tanks play. They hop in and hop out. They hop in and hop out. And you have to be more aware of like how that goes. Now, of course, some of the tanks that we have in this game fills multiple categories, but you just got to think about it in that sense. You know, are they dive tanks? Well, then I'm not going to go chase you because I know you're going to come back. So as the game progresses, you start to leave and then you notice your DPS is getting low. You don't chase players. A DPS can heal themselves by getting a health pack, or they will come to you. I generally treat DPS, especially dive DPS, like dive tanks. If they need you, they'll come back. They don't, they'll go get a health pack. It's the same for every single DPS, not just like stuff like Black Panther. Even if the Phoenix goes to like off angle or Hela goes to off angle, they should do it near a health pack. So if they get low, you don't have to worry about it. This is what happens when you focus too much on healing. You're stretching yourself thin and you're not really being impactful. You're just like saying, I'll heal you guys and I hope you guys can win the game for me. That's not going to be how you win. Trust me. You see how when you went to go heal that guy, you just lost, like you removed your attention from the real fight at hand, and now they're getting low. When you could have been there keeping pressure, using your cloak curtain, and like really helping your team in the general sense, rather than helping that person that was way off over there. You have to be more disciplined and only healing those that need you rather than just healing those that are low. You're not a heal bot. No strategist is. You're not just looking for people who are low and going to heal them. Again, the ladder is kind of messy right now, and there's a lot of strategist players that climb that way simply because they squad up with their friends. But if you are a solo player and you want to start winning your matches more and really want to become a better strategist, you have to know who and where to give your attention. It can't be to just anybody who's low. Because we were out of position to heal that Black Panther, our team ends up getting KO'd. Because you weren't paying attention to how the flow of the fight was going, we're in a really precarious spot. Because again, what was the main thing that I said at the beginning is you have to make sure that you understand where the fight's going to take place. If you're turned around and then you look back, you only have a split second to figure that out. And by the time that happens, you're going to be out of position. No one can think that quickly. Right? You have to turn around, register what is even happening on your screen, and then you have to think about where am I going to stand, and then you're also healing. It's a lot. You're getting overloaded, and this is why people end up in this position like this, where they end up getting KO'd. It's not a you problem. It's a strategist as a whole problem. It happens too frequently. The reason being is because you're always doing something. But remember, you only need to heal those who need you. You don't need to heal everybody. That's not how you climb. Strategist players that say, I have this much heals. Those players don't understand how to play the game. They just think that healing is how you win, and it's not. So we're back on the map. We're trying to retake the position. Again, we want to think about where we're going to be focused. Even here, you see how long it took you to swap to cloak? Look at that. You're only swapping to cloak when you notice that someone's low. You should be straight up fighting everybody. Cloak can 1v1 almost every DPS if you blind them. Almost every single DPS. So what you should be doing is as soon as you see someone in a really crappy position like that, you should have been cloaked. Boom, cloak. Maybe even float up or just jump up here. I don't think you can jump that high. So yeah, float up, blinder, light her up, Either she's going to get low and run away, or she's going to get KO'd. Either way, you just created a better advantage for your team. So we're trying to go in and salvage the fight, but the problem with this is we didn't even have the Hulk. So not only were everybody was out of position, but we didn't have the Hulk. And it's funny because you're not the only one that does. I've played with one above all players that do the same thing. That's why it's funny. It's not a you problem. It's not that lower rank suck problem. No. This is something, again, that all strategists do. They don't really understand the flow of the fight, and they tend to just play off of what they see rather than playing for the future, so to speak, rather being predicting, right? Your chances of winning the fight is by having your entire team there. Yet, we didn't. We just ulted because Phoenix ulted, but we shouldn't have even taken the fight. Do we end up winning? No, we do not. Why? We didn't even have the full team there. So if there's any one thing that I think you should focus on to start carrying your matches, it would definitely be trying to make a play before the full fight phase. So remember, we have the neutral phase where everybody's just looking at each other, trying to find their position, trying to figure out where they're going to stand. Then you have the pre-fight phase where we're just throwing poke out and we're just, doing random stuff until someone gets picked or someone makes a move. And then you have the full fight phase. If I were to tell you to focus on anything that can easily influence your climb, it'd be focusing on trying to do something more productive for your team in the pre-fight phase. Not just healing through whatever poke that they take, but looking for an advantage by getting a KO on somebody, looking for an advantage by getting someone low, because you do not need to KO a target to win a team fight. If they're low, they have to get healed by the strategist, or they have to go get a health pack. Just like you turn around to heal Black Panther, they might turn around to heal their Phoenix. If they do that, your tanks or your DPS have a easy way to break open that team and win the team fight. This is why I'm saying that there's too much emphasis on healing. Again, not just from you, but from a lot of strategists, whether it's a low rank or high rank. As I said before at the start of the video, if you would like your own personal replay review, having your questions answered, make sure you comment to that highlighted pinned comment down below. But keep in mind, members do get priority. What this means is if they decide to want a review, they get to jump in front of the line in front of everybody else. They help support the channel and they allow me to be able to give you guys reviews and free coachings and free events and things like that. So this is why when members submit their review, they get to go first. And as always, if you want more of a hands-on approach, you want to ask me questions directly, be sure to sign up for a coaching session, link down there below as well. That'll be the best place to get all your answers, questions, and deep dive into your gameplay. Until next time, you know what I always say. Think you got you doing what? Up and often. Well, often.